What's cracking, y'all? You are now watching Boo TV. Appreciate you for stopping in. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, stay notified, and let's get into the topic for today.
What's up, y'all? Thanks for stopping in. You clicked on the video. You already know what this topic is about and what we're about to get into. But before we get into it, big shout out to longtime supporter, subscriber, Timothy. Not going to drop your last name, but Timothy, huge donation to the channel, to me. $100 through the Cash App, man. I appreciate you so much. Totally was not expecting it. Thank you for the donation. Thank you for the unrelenting support. Thank you for always dropping in on the videos, always sharing your opinion, all that stuff, man. Truly much appreciated. Always love hearing from you, man. Says, appreciate you, man. Tim from Boston. Yes. Speaking of Boston, we will get into your Celtics a bit. You might be surprised what I have to say about them. But again, man, salute. Appreciate you didn't have to do that. The kindness, it's definitely heartwarming and accepted. So, man, appreciate you, man. Didn't expect that. Dope. All right. And I'm going to be honest. Originally, I was going to get on here and just do, these are my predictions for who's going to represent the East, who's going to represent the West in the finals, and who I think is going to win it all. And it was kind of a cop-out because, I'll be honest, I have no idea who is going to come out of the Western Conference. I have no idea. Now, I know some of you might say, but boo! Couple of weeks ago, I don't know exact amount of weeks, but weeks ago, I remember you putting up a post saying that you'll take the Denver Nuggets over anybody. You've seen enough after the matchups. I did say that. And things have changed. Between trades and player health and coach firings, that took some air out of my Denver Nuggets balloon. I'll be honest with you. And now I don't know. I don't know who's coming out the West. I really don't. So, as I'm talking right now, I still don't know who I'm going to pick out the West. I'm going to be processing this as I go through these matchups and then see what happens, but I'm not gonna cop out like that and just be like, oh, I know it's gonna win the East, but you know what? Screw the West. I don't know. We'll see. Nope. I'm gonna make a decision. Now I know technically we still have to figure out who is going to be the 8th seed for the West and the East after the play-in. But to me, it doesn't matter because I have whatever team comes out of that play-in tournament, they're going to lose in the first round to the Thunder or the Cavaliers. So it doesn't matter. That's why I decided to do it now. So starting with the Western Conference first round, I'm going to go through the most difficult part first. First seed versus the 8th seed. Like I said, whether it's going to be the Memphis Grizzlies, whether it's going to be the Dallas Mavericks, whether it's going to be the Sacramento Kings, doesn't matter. They're not beating the Oklahoma City Thunder. I have nothing else to add to that. This is the most difficult one for me. This is the most difficult first round matchup for me. Denver Nuggets and LA Clippers. And you know why this pisses me off so much? Because I was rolling with Denver practically all year for my pick. And if you've been around the channel for a little bit, you know that the Clippers were my pick to win it all since the bubble. Every single year. Up until last year when I put out a video saying, I give up on the Clippers. I'm done. Done with Kawhi Leonard. Tired of it. I'm not getting strung along anymore. Screw these guys. I'm done. I have no faith in them. And now, all of a sudden, Paul George leaves. They get rid of Russ. They're keeping their head above water all season. Kawhi gets healthy. He starts to get back into shape. And finally, Tyronn Lue, after I've been saying this for so long. I haven't been talking about it much on the channel, but I've been saying it through discussion, is play Big Zoo more. I'm still mad the Lakers got rid of Big Zoo. Big Zoo has been beasting, playing big. I'm going to do a video about Zoo later this week. But anyway, and now the Clippers look like a formidable team capable of knocking off anyone. And they are rolling right now. Rolling. Harden is looking phenomenal. Kawhi's looking phenomenal. Norman Powell's doing his thing. The bench is doing their thing. Big Zoo doing his thing. I'm like, oh, I would be furious if the Clippers go on to win it all after I finally gave up on them for years. After years of thinking they're going to pull it through. Years of putting my money on the Clippers to win it all. Now they want to win it all after I give up. I would be pissed. But anyway, I don't know who's going to win this matchup. Like, part of me is leaning towards the Clippers when I'm looking top to bottom. But then I think about the Nuggets have the best player in the NBA, and that has to account for something as long as these other guys step up. I know starting lineup will do solid. Question is, how's the bench going to do? Is the coach actually going to give some of these bench players more of a chance outside of Russ or Pickney, depending on which one he starts and doesn't start? But we know how the playoffs go. They shorten rotations a lot, but they've been dogging the hell out of these Denver Nuggets starters all season long. Part of me wants to pick the Clippers based off what I have seen lately and how these guys have been rolling. Kawhi looks like damn near prime Kawhi. Harden looks like damn near prime Harden. But you know what, Harden, come playoff time, you never know with this guy. The deeper you get into the playoffs especially, the less productive he is. I'm going to tell you what, and this hurts me. Out of pure spite that the Clippers are playing this well after I gave up on them, out of spite, I'm picking the Denver Nuggets. This has nothing to do with basketball analysis. This is spite. Denver Nuggets over Los Angeles Clippers. I said it. Los Angeles Lakers and Minnesota Timberwolves. This one pisses me off because I wanted the Warriors to win that game, last game of the season, because I wanted the Lakers-Warriors first round matchup. But I got to settle for the Timberwolves. Listen, not a whole lot of basketball analysis here. I just think the Lakers are the better team, period. Though their defense can be inconsistent, I just think they have too much offensive firepower, and the Timberwolves defense isn't good enough. And I don't think they have enough wing defenders to consistently throw at LeBron, Luka, and Hillbilly Kobe, Austin Reeves. And I don't have as much faith in Rudy Gobert as a lot of people protecting the paint. I really don't. And the Lakers are going to look to draw Rudy out anyway. So we'll see how he moves around the perimeter or if he's even comfortable doing it. You know how Rudy is come playoff time especially. I just think LeBron, Luka, Austin Reeves, and the Lakers bench is going to be too much, even with the Lakers' inconsistent defense. But I do expect them to step it up come playoff time. One would hope. I mean, I already saw what Luka Doncic did to the Minnesota Timberwolves last postseason. And now Luka has more firepower than he did in Dallas. And more reliable firepower at that. And I think the Timberwolves aren't as good as they were last year. Sorry, I don't have a whole lot of faith in Randall. And Ant-Man ain't going to be enough. Lakers. Oh, God, I forgot to mention the series. Hold up. Let me go back. Thunder in a sweep. Denver Nuggets in 7. Lakers in 5. All right. Moving on down. Golden State Warriors and the Houston Rockets. Tell you right now, I think the Warriors are going to win. I think the Warriors are a better team. I think the Warriors have more firepower that I can trust in come playoff time. The Warriors have the experience, the championship pedigree. Isn't the same team they won the championships with. They lost one of their core pieces in Klay Thompson, but you add Jimmy Butler, who's a better player, and who in his own right hasn't won a championship, but has been to the NBA Finals, twice, if I'm not mistaken? So while he hasn't won a championship, he knows what it takes to get there at a minimum. And now Jimmy has had the most help he's probably ever had in his entire career. Now Jimmy isn't the guy. Steph Curry is the guy. And Jimmy's one hell of a Robin. I would even argue it's 1A, 1B when it comes to Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler. I just think Houston is too young, and I think the offensive firepower is just going to be too potent for the Houston Rockets. I know they've had a great season. I know they've been fairly consistent all season long, etc., etc. But hey, the Warriors, despite losing a handful of games near the end of the season, when you look at that stretch run since they got Jimmy Butler, they've been one of the best teams in the league. Golden State Warriors in 6. First round of the West is over. Let's go to the first round of the East. Like I said, Cavaliers are going to smoke the Chicago Bulls, the Miami Heat, or the Atlanta Hawks. I think it's going to be a sweep. Indiana Pacers and the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm taking the Milwaukee Bucks. All right. Milwaukee Bucks have the best player on the floor, one of the best players in the league. Top 3, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Yes, Damian Lillard is gone, but in his absence, Giannis has stepped up big time and has been playing kind of this point guard position a lot of the times. I think the Milwaukee Bucks and the Pacers kind of have a little bit of a rivalry going. That's what it seems like. The Bucks won the season series, I believe, 3-1 if I remember correctly. And while the Indiana Pacers will have home court advantage, I'm taking the Milwaukee Bucks. Like I said, they got one of the best players. I think they match up well with them. For the Indiana Pacers, you got Miles Turner, you got Pascal Siakam. And, I like the fact that Miles Turner is a rim protector. Can score in the paint, but he can also stretch to the three-point line. But the Milwaukee Bucks have that too, with Brook Lopez. The Pacers do not have an equal or opposite force to Giannis. And especially in the playoff time, I might tend to lean towards the team that has the best player, especially in close matchups. And like I said, I like Giannis's ability to get into the paint. There's no one there to stop him. Nope, Miles Turner can't. Nope, Pascal Siakam can't. And as long as people like KPJ and Gary Trent hit the threes like they've been doing, be all right. Kyle Kuzma kind of just exists to me. And he was part of my championship Lakers squad, but I'm not a big Kuzma guy. My second favorite player on the Bucks is Bobby Portis, and he's been suspended if I'm not mistaken, so he should be coming back fresh and ready to play. Moving on, New York Knicks and Detroit Pistons. This is a tough one. We all know about the beautiful story that is the Detroit Pistons this season. What a turnaround for that franchise, spearheaded by Cade Cunningham. I know Commissioner Dynamo is revved and ready for this matchup against the New York Knicks. This is an interesting one, man. The Pistons are good enough to beat the New York Knicks in a 7-game series. I do believe that, especially with that momentum. However, I'm going to have to go with the Knickerbockers here. They have the 2 best players, and I say that, oh God, they have the 2 best players on the floor. I don't want to say Cat, but he is. Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns. Brunson should be fairly fresh because he just recently came back off that ankle injury, I believe. He sustained against the Lakers, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that. So he's had some rest. He should be ready to go. I expect Cat to be hungry. This is probably the best season I've seen Karl Anthony Towns have with the New York Knicks. But every time I tend to watch him on TV, he looks like the Karl Anthony Towns I've been seeing with the Minnesota Timberwolves. So I don't know. But I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Tom Thibodeau's players are no stranger to extensive minutes. So these playoff minutes shouldn't be an issue for him. But we'll see how their bodies hold up. Despite the Knicks being third in the East, I think they've been underperforming, especially considering their roster. When you look at their roster, the Knicks have one of the best teams in the league, at least on paper. They really do. You got Brunson, you got Cat, you got Mikal Bridges, you got Hart, you got Anunoby, you got Mitchell Robinson. I like Landry Shamet. but I think he's underutilized sometimes. And I don't know what happened to Cameron Payne. I was expecting more growth out of Cam Payne after his tenure with the Phoenix Suns, but I don't think it really ever happened like I thought it would. Like, that is a solid roster. Those are just the notable names, really. But the Detroit Pistons have absolutely nothing to lose, and I think even though they're underdogs, I feel like everybody outside of New York is kind of going to be rooting for the Detroit Pistons. I think a lot of NBA fans want to see these Pistons go as far as they can because it's been a wonderful story and they don't want the wonderful story to end. If Jalen Duren was a better defensive player, for all his length and his athleticism, he's kind of depressing on defense. And if he was a better defensive player, I think I might even push with the Pistons just because I think he could possibly really minimize Cat or maybe even take him out of the game. But Jalen Duren is kind of disappointing on the defensive end, all things considered. I think you might have a better chance putting Isaiah Stewart, even though he's given up some height there. But Isaiah Stewart is a more physical player, and Karl Anthony Towns doesn't do well with physicality. So if anything, I would put Stewart on Cat and push him around a bit, rough him up. See if that could take him out the game, especially mentally. I actually think this series is going to go 6 or 7. I'm going to say 7 New York Knicks. Boston Celtics, Orlando Magic. No analysis necessary. Boston Celtics. All right, let's go back to the Western Conference and get into that second round. Oklahoma City Thunder versus the Denver Nuggets. Whew, baby. There is no statistical argument I can really make for putting the Denver Nuggets over the Oklahoma City Thunder. When you look at what each of these teams were able to accomplish and what they did on a game-to-game basis all season long, I think anyone would agree that OKC has been the best team in the league, hands down. But, you know, the number one seed, nor the best regular season team, doesn't always go on to win it all. In fact, I would probably argue that doesn't happen often. You got the two top MVP candidates in Shea and Joker. You got the best player in the league, in my estimation, with Joker. You got probably the deepest team in the NBA, if not the deepest, one of the deepest, in the Oklahoma City Thunder. Premier defense, solid offense. Why would I put the Denver Nuggets over the Oklahoma City Thunder? Now, with that being said, they did split the season series 2-2. So this might not be as one-sided as some people may think. But then again, who knows where the Nuggets are mentally and as a team with everything that just went down with their coach or ex-coach. I don't know. I don't know. This Western Conference is so hard. I could see a handful of teams being in the finals. I don't know, bro. This is so hard. Oh, boy. This is difficult. I fear I might be wrong here. Nuggets are going to have to win one on the road. In the playoffs. Dude, I'm really curious how deep they're going to go into that Denver Nuggets bench. And I'm really worried about those starters being gassed. Oklahoma City's depth is just... Oh, boy. I'm going OKC, damn it. Damn it. Anyway, I'm going to say OKC and 7. Next up, Lakers and Warriors. Honestly, I just think the Warriors match up really well with the Lakers. So I'm taking Golden State over my Lakers. Yes, I am. I think Golden State's style of offense, the small ball, they both like to play small ball, especially now. See, one thing LA used to have against Golden State was Anthony Davis in that size. They don't have that anymore. So now they're playing a lot more small ball, and the Warriors just play better small ball than the Lakers. You got two squads going up against each other that both have experience between their notable players. Both teams have players with championships and championship pedigree. I think Steve Kerr is the better coach. And I think Golden State Warriors player movement and ball movement is going to cause all kinds of havoc for the Lakers defense and switches. I think Luka, Doncic, and LeBron James are going to get lost a lot, especially Luka. And all of these, pick and rolls and screens all over the place. Players constantly moving, players constantly cutting, shifting, running from one end of the court to another. I just think they're going to get lost in all these switches. The Lakers are. And I think it's going to be a problem for them in this series. Now, of course, you have that three-headed monster in the Lakers, that offensive three-headed monster. Bron, Luka, Austin Reeves. Each of these guys can score in isolation. And honestly, Austin Reeves has shown to be probably the best clutch player on the Lakers. But the thing is, with LeBron and Luka, I also expect Austin Reeves probably not to get as many touches as he should get. And I think that could work against the Lakers sometimes. Regardless, I think with the defense of Draymond Green, who can switch everything, the defense of Jimmy Butler, the defense of GP, Gary Payton, I think they'll do a good job at least making those three players be uncomfortable at times. I'm not saying they're going to stop them. I'm sure they'll still get their points, albeit maybe a lower efficiency or whatever. But I think they'll do a good job sticking to them. And they'll be able to switch a lot of things. So it's going to be harder to find mismatches unless you're specifically sniffing out Steph Curry. But I can easily say, as quickly as you sniff out Steph Curry, we're going to sniff out Luka Doncic on the other end too, right? As far as their bench goes, I think both of these teams are almost equals in bench and bench production. Lakers have some reliable role players, as do the Golden State Warriors. And honestly, what's up with Jonathan Kuminga? I don't understand why this guy doesn't get more minutes. Like, Kuminga could be a great option for throwing another body at LeBron, Luka, and Austin Reeves. Either way, I think the Warriors do better at what the Lakers tried to do consistently. But then again, you have that mole in Draymond Green who might throw the game for the Warriors in favor of his king, LeBron James. So who knows? But I'm going to take the Warriors in 7. All right, let's go back to the Eastern Conference. Cleveland Cavaliers versus the Milwaukee Bucks. I just think the Cavs have too much. I do. Even with Giannis going balls to the wall, I just think the Cavs have too much. They're too deep, too much, and the rim protection is solid. And actually, across the board, their defense is pretty solid. I just don't think the Milwaukee Bucks have enough to beat the Cleveland Cavaliers in a 7-game series, and I think it's just that simple. I think the Cavaliers are better on both ends of the floor. Too deep, too potent. Taking the Cavaliers in 6. New York Knicks versus the Boston Celtics. This is an easy one. I'm going Boston Celtics. Just like the Cavaliers, I think the Celtics have too much. They have championship pedigree. They're too smart. They got too much swagoo. They're just the better team top to bottom. Nothing more to talk about. Boston Celtics. I'm going in a sweep. 4-0 Celtics. All right. Western Conference Finals. Oklahoma City and Golden State Warriors. Believe it or not, the Warriors won the season series against Oklahoma City. 2-1. I don't know. I have zero confidence in most of my Western Conference predictions. And this one, I don't know. I'm sorry, y'all. I don't know. This is too difficult. This is too difficult to try to predict, man. The West is really, Warriors won the matchup, but very rarely do I run with the team that has the best record. When it's like a well-balanced team from top to bottom, but really lacking that true superstar. Go back to that Atlanta Hawks team that they were calling the Spurs 2.0. Y'all remember that? But they didn't really have that one like all-star. It was just a really good, well-balanced team. But we knew, you come across a guy, or you come across a team like the Cavaliers, they got a LeBron James. You guys have nothing like that. That can be too overwhelming. One player can dynamically change a game or a series in a game of basketball, unlike any other sport, really. But the difference with OKC is that they do have Shea. They have this well-balanced team, top to bottom, with a damn good record that performed great all season long. But they do have one guy that is that guy, and that's Shea. And he ain't no joke. He's legit. He's a 30-point-per-game scorer on high efficiency and plays defense. I'm going to Oklahoma City. Boston Celtics versus Cleveland Cavaliers. Folks, I'm taking the Boston Celtics. No thoughts necessary. Look, man, great season for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Donovan Mitchell, all that's been great. Great depth, all that. Mobley, all that's great. But listen, the Celtics are hungry. They're coming off a championship. They've been more or less cruising, maintaining a second seed. They got better wing players that can do more on both ends of the floor. And Tatum and Brown that do it at a high level. And you got Holiday. Porzingis, I'm assuming Porzingis is healthy. I think he is. Who knows with that guy? But expecting Porzingis to be there. You got Porzingis, length, defense. That's 4 players. Al Horford, that's 5 players right there that are damn good defenders. 4 of those guys can get their own buckets. Some better than others, but you get what I mean. You got Peyton Pritchard coming off the bench. Wait, is Peyton coming off the bench these days? Or is Peyton starting? I think Peyton Pritchard's coming off the bench. God, I didn't even mention Derek White. Oh, come on, man. Boston Celtics, man. They got, especially come playoff time, I expect their defense to step it up and step it up bigly. They got a lot of things they can throw at you. Switch whatever you want, how many times you want. They're not going to be left scrambling much. I'm taking the Boston Celtics. Celtics in 6. NBA Finals, I got the Boston Celtics and the Oklahoma City Thunder. And I'm going with the Boston Celtics to win the whole goddamn thing. I believe the Boston Celtics will be the NBA champions for the reasons I just mentioned. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, length, athleticism, playmaking, one better than the other. Can go get buckets in isolation. Can switch everything. Can defend multiple positions. You can maybe argue they could defend 1 through 5 if the other team is playing a small lineup at the center position. But definitely 1 through 4 these guys can guard. Derek White, another 3-and-D guy. Peyton Pritchard, Kristaps Porzingis. And if Porzingis is in there and going, good luck, man. Good luck. Another elite defensive player. Knockdown shooter. All kinds of mismatches. Efficient. Al Horford. Defense. Hustle. Veteran leadership. Baseline knockdown 3-point shooter. Tillman. Come on, man. I like Luke Cornett and Sam Hauser too. Man, they got a lot of weapons they can throw at you. A lot of guys ready to step up in big moments on both ends of the floor. When I look at the Boston Celtics, record be damn, stats be damn. When I'm looking at them against the field in every matchup, I don't see many people that can stick with these guys, man. They're tough and they can kill you from so many different ways. And they don't need one guy to be on and clicking. That's how deep they are. But they have about 3 guys that can smoke you for 30 plus any given night. You got a guy in Jason Tatum who could smoke you for 30. But if he doesn't, he has evolved as a playmaker so much that he could focus on facilitating. Boston Celtics are going to go back-to-back this year. I truly believe that. Record be damned. Record be damned. Sometimes it's like that when you're coming off a championship. You know, you're not really striving pedal to the metal all season long. They played well enough to get a second seed in the East, puts them in good position. They're ready to go. They can win on the road. Boston Celtics will be the 2025 NBA champions. You heard it here first, folks. This is coming from a Laker fan. You heard it here first. And if the Lakers somehow make it to the finals, they ain't beating Boston. Luka and LeBron are going to have nightmares with the switches of Tatum, Brown, Holiday, Porzingis. Yeah, good luck. Good luck. That's all I got to say about it, folks. Regardless to the lack of confidence I have in my Western Conference picks, Boston Celtics is beating anybody and everybody. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, stay notified. I'll catch you on the next one. We out, baby.